Right.
So wait a minute. What did you say inflation was when Biden took over?
I said inflation was up at high at 9%. It's now down to 3.2%.
No. When he took over from Trump, it was 1.4%.
Yeah, and there was also
okay.
there was also
I want to
$8
make sure,
trillion
because
in debt,
Biden
though.
says it was at 9%, and I don't want you to get confused with his
debunked.
His false talking points.
But
we want to start on an issue that Americans across the country say is their number one concern, and that's the economy. Mm-hmm. A question that has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
So when we came into, well, first of all, let me just say it is good to be with the National Association of Black Journalists, and I thank you for the work you do and that your members do every day. It is very important that we ensure that this organization and your members always have the resources and the platforms to deliver the voices that must be heard. So I thank you for hosting me today. 4 years ago, when we came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst public health epidemic in centuries. We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president as it relates to COVID and obviously January 6th. And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess. As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. We have the lowest Black unemployment rate in generations. We have invested in small businesses, and they're to the benefit of many people, but including Black small businesses, some of the highest rate of creation of new Black small businesses in years.
So is that a yes or a no? Now, let me put it this way here, guys. Here's the tale of the tape. We have two presidential candidates that are good at dodging. One dodges bullets while the other one dodges questions. And since we all know that the Vice President Kamala Harris goes crazy over Venn diagrams, here's one that I got from X that shows how similar she is to Donald Trump. And Kamala Harris's interview with the NABJ is vastly different from what Trump had to endure. The very first question was an attack on Trump, and yet he showed up. Harris was also invited that same day, but rejected the chance to meet with the former president. And Harris touts within this interview that she'll be better for not just the Black community, but for America as a whole. Many don't believe her nonsense, and she was just kind of confronted about it here in this interview.
But polling shows that some Black men, particularly young Black men, are considering voting for Donald Trump, and they see him as better for the economy. What is your message to young Black male voters who feel left out of this economy, and how can your economic policies materially change their lives?
So I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often been asked this question in a way that I've had to respond by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that Black men are in anybody's pocket. Black men are like any other voting group. You got to earn their vote. So I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am Black, but because the policies and the perspectives I have understands what we must do to recognize the needs of all communities. And I intend to be a president for all people.
I don't think anybody said that Black men were in anyone's pocket. Am I missing something here, or is she the one that's actually pushing for that narrative? And this is where we have a disconnect with reality. Many attest that Kamala Harris was not good for the American people, nor was she helpful to the Black community. She is simply pandering for votes, and it's why she avoided all these interviews. It's why she claims to be Black when many deny her to be a Black woman. It's alleged that Kamala Harris's team insisted that ABC News not ask her any questions about her time as a prosecutor. And now we know why. The story comes from a Black mother, a Black woman, a real Black woman who went up against the power of one of Kamala Harris's. And just for context, this is about the truancy program that Kamala Harris herself pushed for in the state legislature. This law allowed district attorneys to charge parents with a misdemeanor if their children miss 10% of the school year without a valid reason.
I intend to fight for Black Lives Matters. I intend to fight.
If Black Lives matter to her, why didn't I matter?
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
My message to all Americans, especially Black Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
I'm so proud of you right now, because you walked all the way down here and I wasn't expecting you to walk.
My daughter, Shayla, suffers from sickle cell anemia, a chronic, painful genetic disease.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick.
It's a very sharp stabbing pain, and it hurts a whole lot. Like from my chest all the way down, it hurts, including my side.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
When Kamala Harris was the California Attorney General, she had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I spent a majority of my time here at the hospital.
Kamala's horrible policies hurt mothers like me and the Black community.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but a debilitating disease isn't as easy as Kamala Harris might think it is. And it's a perfectly valid reason to miss school. However, she wasn't looking into that at all. She somehow hates the details of these kinds of things. She just wants to win cases and put people in jail at any cost. And this is why this mother is extremely disappointed and hurt, from one Black woman to another. Now, just imagine having the cops show up and handcuff you because your child missed a couple days of school. What kind of tyrant thinks that this is okay for the parent or the child?
My mom did nothing wrong. We did everything we were supposed to. I was always bringing doctor's notes, always calling the school to let them know that I was in the hospital.
Then they handcuff me. So they take me outside for what you call a perp walk. And oh my God, the TV news was there, the newspapers were there. You could swear I had killed somebody. It was degrading and humiliating. I was taken to the Criminal Justice Center. They took my mugshot. I was fingerprinted like a criminal, and I was terrified.
And it felt like I caused her so much pain, because in reality, it is because of me, even though I know it's not directly my fault.
I mean, this is more than just a power trip. And they use this poor woman as the poster child for Kamala Harris's program. She ruined that single Black mother's life, and likely the life of the child. Kamala Harris used this Black single mother as an example of truancy, without even acknowledging the situation behind why her daughter was missing so much school. Now, it's really crazy to think that somebody with this kind of mindset is the vice president of the United States. And now she wants to be the commander-in-chief? But listen to how drunk on power she is from just a few years ago.
I learned, I think I was, 22 when I started that work. I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
And I think she was remembering the story because she destroyed the life of this family. And from the looks of it, Harris was looking back on some fond memories.
But my hell was just beginning. They gave me 2 charges: failure to supervise and encourage school attendance, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I couldn't believe it. They framed my daughter as a gang member and basically charged me with neglect. I spent the next 2 years in court fighting these charges. Kamala assigned her nastiest prosecutors to my case.
My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
Like 10 different prosecutors. They kept pressuring me to plead guilty and spend a year in jail, but I kept refusing because I did nothing wrong. All the time I had to spend going to court, I was struggling to care for my Shayla. I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted. I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
And I ended up being in the hospital a lot during her trial. And in that hospital stay was when I had my stroke.
I had a stroke about 4 or 5 days ago, and right now I'm doing pretty good. My hand is doing okay, I guess.
In 2015, after 2 years, they finally just gave up and dismissed my case.
Is this the kind of governance that our country needs? A prosecutor who doesn't even need all of the information provided before they make an arrest? I mean, it's truly heartbreaking just to see and hear these kind of stories. But we got to be informed, guys, because this is the kind of stuff that mainstream liberal media will block out. And it's why I appreciate you guys always keeping yourselves informed here. I read a book a long time ago, and it basically said something that was really powerful and profound to me. And it said something along the lines of, look at your 5 closest friends, and typically your income is an average of your 5 closest friends. Now, with that being said, I was kind of like thinking, okay, well, how do I find people who made way more than me so I could increase my chances of having a higher income? I mean, it only made sense, right? For less than a cup of coffee a day, for less than $1 a day, join a powerful network of people who are ready to change their lives for the better. And I will be putting a limit on this group, so get in while you can. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. So yeah, guys, bottom line, if history is any indication, things are turning up for Donald Trump, especially in the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at it from the left-leaning news network CNN.
All right, Harry, talk to us about what the states look like, the battleground states.
Yeah, so look, this is about the Electoral College, right? So let's take a look at the average margin. Nationally, Harris is ahead in the average poll by 2.5 points. But look in those 7 key battleground states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Harris is only ahead by 0.3 points, John. So the bottom line is, in those 7 key battleground states, it's a significantly tighter race than it is nationally, John.
So Al Gore and Hillary Clinton are calling right now, Harry, asking what the chances are that Harris could win the popular vote but lose in the Electoral College.
Okay, so basically, you note that 2.5 point lead nationally here, right? Okay, Harris's chances, if she wins the popular vote by 2 to 3 points, the chance she wins the Electoral College is only 53%. The bottom line is, once you have to get all the way north to about 3 to 4 points for Harris to have a clear chance, the clear majority chance of winning the Electoral College. If she only wins by less than 2, look at that, only a 23% chance of winning. Right now, Harris is right now in that danger zone where basically about half the time, given that popular vote margin nationally, she would win. And so here's the situation. Chance Harris wins the popular vote at this point is about 70%, but the chance she wins the Electoral College is only about 50%. So the bottom line is, at this hour, John, there's about a 20% chance that Kamala Harris wins the popular vote, but actually loses in the Electoral College. So we could be heading towards one of these splits that we saw in 2016 and in 2000, whereby one candidate, Kamala Harris, wins in the popular vote, but loses in the Electoral College. Basically, at this hour, we're right in that sort of weird middle zone where we honestly don't know what's going to happen based upon the popular vote. And that is why those national polls that show Kamala Harris ahead, at this point, really don't matter that much.
Now, in case you guys didn't catch that, guys, that was CNN senior anchor Henry Enton admitting on national television that all those national polls that have Harris up really don't even matter that much. Also, that debate, it didn't even register any meaningful change in the polls. So it looks like we're going to see Hillary Clinton 2.0 happen because Donald Trump won that ABC debate easy enough, even though they gave Kamala Harris all the questions ahead of time, at least according to many critics online. Now, honestly, guys, we called it right from the start. Trump Trump was going to win this thing hands down, and he sure did. If anything, Kamala Harris did do a good job of convincing people not to vote for her. So I guess we should thank her for that, right? And that and helping a lot of Americans finally decide to stop watching ABC. But yeah, like I was saying, guys, polls beat debates any day of the week, and the polls show that the Pennsylvania debate was nothing but a blip on the radar for our former commander-in-chief. In fact, here's Fox News anchor Bret Baier taking a look back at how previous presidential debates have impacted the polls.
Last night provided Americans the opportunity to hear former President Trump and Vice President Harris's competing visions for the nation. Historically, following debates in the past, former President Trump has been behind in the polls. As it currently stands, in the Real Clear Politics average of polls, Harris maintains a slight edge in that average. After the first debate in 2020, President Biden's lead over President Trump was much higher. He had a 9-point advantage. And that first debate was characterized by many as chaotic, with personal jabs and taunts amid clashes over policy.
Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
The question is, the question is,
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen.
Okay, so 4 years earlier, a record average of 84 million viewers watched Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump's first face-off.
Donald supported the invasion of Iraq.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
Proved over and over again.
So following that debate, if you look at the polls, Trump trailed Clinton nationally again by 9 percentage points. The location of that last night's showdown between Trump and Harris is significant. Past debates have shown and appeared to benefit former President Trump in Pennsylvania polling. Current polls show the former president and the vice president really in a dead heat in the critical swing state. In 2020, President Biden led Trump in Pennsylvania, but following their first debate, Trump saw a slight boost there with voters. Now, if we go in past presidential debates and past presidential races, President Biden obviously ended up winning the 2020 election, as you can see here. He won Pennsylvania by just, 1 point. Just a little bit over 1 percentage point. Major cities in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh really boosted him. They're home to heavily Democratic urban residents, wealthy college-educated suburban voters, both groups helping propel Biden to victory in Pennsylvania. But let's take a look back to 2016. We can see Trump won that state by less than 1 point, thanks in part to counties where Republican-leaning voters, rural voters, live. And now let's zoom out in 2016. You can see, if past his prologue, Pennsylvania could play a pivotal role either way again in this election.
And it's not just him. CNN as a whole has tried to keep things as centric as possible. Of course, there's exceptions, but they've pushed against one of the biggest lies of Kamala Harris. It's a lie that the Democratic Party and ABC News just keep pushing out to the people. They have argued that the former president is directly connected to Project 2025, even though Donald Trump has repeatedly, time and time again, denied knowing anything about it and says that the things that he has read are very extreme.
Listen to this claim from Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware about Project 2025 and former President Trump.
He has, with his friends, said the quiet parts out loud, but not only said them out loud, he wrote a book about it. What's it called? Project 2025.
That is false. Trump did not write Project 2025. The project's big policy document published by the Heritage Foundation think tank lists dozens of people as authors, editors, contributors. Donald Trump is not among them.
Now, guys, I'm not saying that CNN is now leaning more to the right. That's not what I'm saying. But they are providing information that's backed up by facts every now and then. Something that ABC News should also look into, since they're so-called journalists. Their job is to make sure that we're informed. It shouldn't matter if it happens to help one candidate or the other, as long as it's the actual truth. In Minnesota, under Governor Tim Walz, mind you, at least 8 babies have been left to die after botched abortions. It's a matter of public record. Now, if you're looking for a vice president who supports such policies, well, then Tampon Tim is your man. Meanwhile, what keeps President Donald Trump's supporters so loyal despite all of the controversies, from Russia investigations to impeachments and countless legal battles, is that he's not part of the typical polished political class. He's not one of those slick manipulative elites. You may like or you may dislike Trump, admire him or not, but what you see is the real Trump. But in contrast, the debate between Harris, a privileged left-wing elitist, and Donald Trump, a relatable, straightforward guy that people can actually connect with, it's not that Trump can't navigate high society. After all, he owns country clubs. He can afford all the fancy tuxedos any politician might want, but he's a regular guy who doesn't hide who he really is. And we've seen this time and time again. In politics, authenticity always wins. Being true to yourself beats being bent out of shape just to become somebody your consultants have coached you to be. What the people in Kamala Harris's campaign just don't get is this has become a core truth in American politics for years. Which kind of reminds me that I did a previous video of people that Kamala Harris actually likes. In fact, she wants even more of them to illegally enter our country. Make sure you guys check that video out right after this one. Thanks for your time, guys. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.